My name is Howard Davis, and welcome to Tomorrow Television, the program which gives you answers to the most important spiritual issues of our time and of your life. The United States dominates the world as no nation in history, but even at the height of power, can we see the beginning of America's self-sustaining foundations crumbling? We will take a look at several important issues on this edition of the program. Is there a crisis of confidence that the abuse of Iraqis has actually created and exposed in the United States and the world? Number two, we'll take a look to see if there are really two hearts to the American nation, 2 points of view that are in conflict. Next, we're going to see what is the real spiritual reason America dominates the world. What are the spiritual roots and divine background to American power? And also take a look at whether the spiritual signs are now showing up for an eventual downfall. Lastly, we're going to see that America now is actually captive to an internal conflict which is dividing the generations. So first we're going to start with a discussion about America exposing itself in a way that creates a crisis of confidence all over the world with Rex Sexton. Welcome to Tomorrow, Rex. What exactly has happened to bring on this crisis of confidence?
Howard, I hope that this will work like a mirror with getting Americans to look at themselves as a society to see what has happened to us to where this could even happen on our watch. But essentially, just following a timeline of what took place at the Abu Ghraib prison and the other ones that are over there, probably beginning in last summer as a result of PSYOPs and trying to get information out of the various insurgents and the terrorists, we started allowing, apparently our guards took it upon themselves, or we don't know the exact story, to do things that we Americans would find abhorrent in their efforts to try to find information. Now apparently in the fall some of these abuses were beginning to be reported, and by December they actually had a commission going. By January 19th, there was a major general that was assigned to investigate all these reports and try to find out what was going on. So as a military, we were not covering those things up. We actually were trying to deal with it. But what actually happened is that Americans, even though the things were in print, Americans react to video. We react to images. We react to pictures because we are a video society.
Is this the type of thing that the world should be able to expect out of the United States?
It's hard to say. You know, with the Geneva Convention accords in place, of course, most people realize that only America and Britain have made real efforts to obey the Geneva Accords. Most other nations have not, if you go back through all the wars of the last 100 years. However, we set ourselves up as a moral, sort of moral icon or a moral higher ground than the others. We went into Iraq saying America is better, our system is better, we as people are better. And so when you do that, then you have to live according to those standards and those levels. So when the things that happened in the prison came to light, people were saying, aha, you're not as good as you said you were. And that really is the problem that we've gotten ourselves into.
Why was the release of the photos, some of which I have here, and we won't show on the program the photos in detail. These can actually be seen on the internet, but this is obviously a very degrading one with a woman soldier holding a nude Iraqi prisoner, detainee on a leash. He's lying down, really degrading. Why are photos such a big deal?
Well, because this is something you can't turn away from. Words people ignore. In our society, we don't have the listening skills that we used to. And so people now see these pictures and they pass them around, they look at them, it really means something to them. Press it brought it home because you see a picture of an American soldier doing something that we would find repulsive, or we would say simply should not be done.
Well, is this actually new for the American military? Well, people who were in Vietnam say that there's some pretty horrible things that soldiers did in Vietnam while they were maybe on drugs in some cases.
It's not new at all. Look at the story of Andersonville Prison and other prisons in the Civil War. And in all of the wars America has fought, we have started out sort of being nice guys with kid gloves and trying to defeat the enemy in a quote gentlemanly type way. But we have found in every war that we had to become as vicious and as essentially mean and killers as the enemy in order to defeat them. There are a lot of stories about after the GIs arrived in Normandy in World War II, after D-Day, they began to try to capture German soldiers. Some of the Germans would stand up with their hands up, I surrender. So the Americans would all stand up, and then those Germans would fall down, and the machine guns would open up and kill all the Americans. So after losing a few platoons in June of 44, the Americans started shooting every German that stood up and put his hands up. And someone coming on the scene saying, well, these Americans are killing Germans who want to surrender, it would look very bad. But in reality, they were simply doing something to keep themselves from being killed.